With Mavuika's Rerun arriving in version 6.6, a lot of players are wondering, is she still worth pulling and investing into today? She's one of Genshin's strongest pyro DPS units, capable of dominating both as an on-field hypercarry and an off-field support. So the real question is, does her flexibility and damage still justify building around her in the current meta? Before getting into builds and teams, let's quickly go over how she actually plays. Mavuika is primarily an on-field pyro hypercarry who scales off attack. However, unlike most characters, she doesn't use energy for her burst. Instead, she builds a unique resource called Fighting Spirit, which fuels her high damage potential. There are two main ways to play her. Tapping her skill allows Mavuika to apply pyro every couple of seconds, even from off-field, making her a strong support and reaction enabler for other carries. On the other hand, holding her skill summons the Flame Strider, which increases her mobility while converting her attacks into pyro damage. So at a baseline, Mavuika can either stay on-field as a pyro DPS or support other carries through her off-field pyro application. In practice, her gameplay loop is fairly straightforward. Generate Fighting Spirit, then use her burst to enter a damage window to unleash massive pyro damage. Or alternatively, just tap her skill and continue the rotation for her supportive playstyle. But what really pushes her damage higher is how efficiently your team generates Fighting Spirit. Fighting Spirit is generated whenever Mavuika or other Natlan teammates consume Night Soul points. Normal attacks from any character can also generate small amounts of Fighting Spirit, although this is much slower. Notably, the more Fighting Spirit Mavuika has when casting her burst, the stronger both her burst damage and empowered attacks are. And this is where team building becomes important. While any team can technically generate Fighting Spirit, Natlan teammates build it faster and more consistently through Night Soul consumption. And since faster Fighting Spirit generation means more burst uptime and stronger damage windows, Mavuika performs best alongside at least one additional Natlan character. Without them, her rotations can feel noticeably slower and less explosive. The only other real limitation she has is that her off-field pyro application can sometimes be slightly slow for certain reaction teams. But overall, Mavuika remains an extremely flexible pyro unit capable of fitting into both hypercarry and supportive roles. Most of Mavuika's damage comes from her burst and skill, so you'll want to prioritize leveling those talents first to maximize both her on-field damage and off-field contribution. Her normal attack talent can safely be leveled last if you wish to do so. Her signature weapon, 1000 Blazing Suns, remains her best in-slot option. It provides everything Mavuika could possibly want, with a high base attack, crit stats, and a passive that further amplifies her damage output. And when compared to the alternatives, it performs noticeably ahead in most situations. If you're looking for a strong free-to-play option, Tidal Shadow is one of her best craftable weapons. It provides a massive attack boost, allowing you to focus more heavily on crit stats through your artifacts. Serpent Spine is another excellent option thanks to its crit rate and incredibly strong passive. In fact, at high refinements, it can compete with several 5-star weapons. However, maintaining its stacks consistently usually requires careful play or a reliable shielder. Blackcliff Slasher can also work as a crit damage stat stick, though its passive is much less consistent against bosses and it does require Star Glitter to obtain. Lastly, Male Flower is still usable thanks to its EM and attack buffs, but it generally falls behind stronger crit focus options. Not to mention, newer players may not have access to it due to it being event exclusive. Mavuika's best artifact set is 4-piece Obsidian Codex. The 2-piece effect grants a damage bonus, while the 4-piece provides a massive crit rate boost that synergizes perfectly with the Night Soul mechanics. If you're pairing her with Furina, 4-piece Marashose Hunter becomes another strong option thanks to the consistent HP fluctuation Furina provides. For an off-field support playstyle, 4-piece Scroll of the Hero of Cinder City is also extremely strong. It allows Mavuika to buff the team's damage significantly without sacrificing too much of her own personal damage output. For main stats, you'll want an attack percent or EM Sands depending on the team, a pyro damage bonus goblet, and lastly a crit rate or crit damage circlet. In terms of substats, prioritize crit rate and crit damage first, followed by EM or attack percent. Flat attack exists too, I guess. But since Mavuika doesn't rely on energy recharge for her burst, you can focus almost entirely on offensive stats instead. As a general benchmark, aim for over 2000 attack, roughly 45 to 55% crit rate before the Obsidian Codex buff, 200% crit damage or more, and at least 100 EM as well. Mavuika performs best in teams that can generate Fighting Spirit quickly while also amplifying her pyro damage. In other words, she benefits heavily from strong Natlan teammates. Her highest ceiling team is Mavuika, Xilonen, Citlali, and Bennett. Xilonen and Citlali provide resistant shred while helping Mavuika generate Fighting Spirit significantly faster. Meanwhile, Bennett provides both pyro resonance and his massive attack buff. Another extremely strong option is Mavuika, Zilonen, Furina and Bennett. Here, Furina provides powerful team-wide damage amplification through fanfare while also contributing strong off-field hydro damage for vaporize reactions. Mavuika can also function well in overloaded teams such as Mavuika, Rerun, Chevrus and Janssen. Chevrus provides valuable buffs for Pyro and Electro teams, while Janssen can serve as an alternative to Bennett if you prefer using him elsewhere. Outside of our hypercarry setups, Mavuika can also work extremely well as an offensive support for other Natlan DPS units. For example, Molani Vaporize teams, Kinich Burning teams, or Varesa Overloaded teams. All of this is thanks to our off-field pyro application and strong supportive utility. C1 improves Mavuika's overall quality of life by increasing how efficiently she generates fighting spirit, while also granting a sizable attack buff whenever she does gain it. C2 grants additional base attack, provides defense shred for our off-field support playstyle, and massively boosts the damage of our on-field attacks and burst. For most players wanting to invest beyond C0, this is their ideal stopping point. C3 is a straightforward burst level increase, while C4 improves the damage buff from a passive talent by preventing it from decaying over time while also granting additional damage bonus. This makes her burst windows stronger and more consistent throughout their duration. C5 increases the level of her elemental skill, and lastly, C6 is a massive overall upgrade to Mavuika's entire kit. It significantly increases both her on-field and off-field damage, adds additional AoE pyro attacks, improves her supportive utility through defense shred, and even enhances her exploration capabilities. But overall, C0 Mavuika is already more than enough for most, while C2 is comfortably her best value Constellation investment. So with all of that covered, is Mavuika still worth it? If you're looking for a flexible pyro unit with incredible damage, strong team variety and excellent long-term value, Mavuika is absolutely still worth investing into in version 6.6. However, she does perform best alongside Natlan teammates that can properly support her fighting spirit mechanics. So while she's incredibly powerful, her strongest teams aren't always the most accessible. Still, if your account can support her properly, Mavuika remains one of the strongest and most future-proof pyro characters in the game. If this helped you out, consider liking the video and subscribing to get the channel to 1000 subs. But as always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.